They're designed fundamentally different. This is designed for a bike. And you can see the whole way that's done. You go here and on this side, and there's all this stuff that makes you go slower, but it's designed for you. If you go to a car street where the bike is a guest, it's designed for a car. At lower speed, but it is designed for a car, but it has bike facilities. And I think that concept is actually really interesting. And you could do that in downtown Boise, right? Downtown Boise, you guys say, these are pedestrian streets where a bike can be a guest, or this can be a bike street where a car can be a guest. In many ways, 8th Street is a little bit like that. 8th Street kind of feels almost like that bike street where the car is really treated like a guest. Anyway, so I think this is really interesting. What's better than those, what do you call them, Sheros? Sheros, there you go. Didn't think of the word, but they're great, right? All right, so, I want to tell you though, and by no means that the Netherlands biking is perfect, all right? So, I actually went to college here, and I know this intersection very well, right? And just see the tremendous backup, the congestion that you have with students all going to college in this particular area, right? And it was like that when I grew up, or when I was there. It's obviously gotten worse. Now think about if all those college students would be in a car. Right? Think what you would have had, the problem that you would have had here. You can't even compare it. Alright, here's another bike problem. If everybody rides a bike, then you need to put those bikes somewhere. Alright, so this really became an eyesore in many places where there were just bikes everywhere. So that has become a problem. This is actually from Belgium in Brussels. And I thought this was really interesting. And this was actually in, I think it was April 20. Right, so this is very recent. And the police actually issued 1,100 fines for what they call fines against weaker road users. So there's cars like this one who were sitting in the bike lane. So they had a special campaign where they were actually, if you did that kind of things, you were getting fines. Obviously, we haven't done that yet. All right. They also make mistakes. This to me is just probably the funniest one. Here's the train station, and I don't know what they were thinking here. The idea is often, when everything is that close, they want to have some kind of physical barrier. So that's why these things are there. Obviously, the guy who was doing the construction wasn't paying attention to how it needed to be. All right. This is what is called the world's shortest bike path. You can actually just put here it says bike path, and then here it says bikes are not allowed. Obviously somebody made a mistake there, but it's still funny. Okay. So what if a Dutch guy started biking to work in Boise? So I bike, it doesn't matter, right, except for Florida where I didn't do it. So I live here, which is off Warm Springs, near the Botanical Garden, and this is where work is on Front Street and Broadway. So I basically have 3 ways that I can go. The first way is I take the green belt, I go through along Municipal Park, and then there's another little piece of green belt here, and then I end up on Park Street with it's called. That's the first way. And I want to show you what it looks like. So here's where I was wearing my fancy pivot heads. So you see this is very comfortable. There's an intersection coming there, but I can actually see pretty well, so I can see there's nothing coming there. I can see there's a car there, and then there's nothing else there, so I can just keep on going. It's actually pretty well done there. It's not, now coming from the other side, it's not nearly as good. It's actually hard to see traffic. So I'm comfortable and nice here on my green belt. Getting pretty close to work. Anybody familiar with this piece here? And so you know what happens next, right? There's the road. Just keep running it so for those that are not familiar with this place. All really cool. Still in good shape. And then you get to Park Center. And I can't even get on the road if I want to, although there is a bike path there, right? That is actually a bike path. Now, I would never go there. The speed limit is 35, people are going 40, 45 sometimes. there is no way that I would be there. That difference in speed is just way too high. So now I'm just stuck.
Sorry? There are no pedestrians on the sidewalk.
Well, there actually sometimes are, and that's actually, yeah, I've had some problems with that. But now I'm on the bike path, right? And that is on the bike path on the sidewalk. And it's comfortable. It's okay. Although now, of course, the thing is that these trees are too low. I actually have to duck a little bit, otherwise I'm going to hit my But it's okay. Now it gets narrower, and this is usually where you have a conflict when there's a pedestrian. Right? And it's actually easy when you think about it. They could fix this, right? There's this short little stretch here, then we go on. Now here's the next conflict that I will run into, which is the hotel and Chick-fil-A. Now, if I'm coming from this way, it's not so bad, because anybody who is coming out of there is looking that way where the cars are. If I'm coming from the other side, nobody's seeing me. And as a car, you can't really expect that somebody's coming from that other side because I'm in the wrong way. Now, funny, right? Bike lane ends right there, if I would have been there. Now, here's the interesting thing. Like, my light is already green, and the cars just keep on going. So you just have to be careful. This is where I always put my flashing light on the back on so that people can see it passing. Now, I'm coming here. Interesting, there's no paving signs, and then I have no choice but to continue on the sidewalk. Right? All right. Here's this. Here's the second way. I can actually go all the way along the greenbelt until I get to Broadway. Right? So now I can avoid that area until I get to Broadway, and then I can go up to Broadway. So I'm going to skip the whole greenbelt piece because obviously that is comfortable. And I will go now. I just came off the greenbelt. I just crossed the most dangerous section where cars are traveling, right? And I'm now in the green. I'm now actually in the bike lane. But look what happens. My building is there. Alright, so my building is there. That's where I need to go. And this actually feels very comfortable at this point. There's really no conflict. It's fine. Nobody's honking at me. Nobody's freaking out. Now the light turns green. And that bike path, although I don't think it's comfortable because the traffic is going too fast, but I'm okay there. I'm going to see how narrow it is, right? It is really too narrow. Those cars are pretty close to me. But now I'm starting to look at my left because I need to get to the left lane. Right? Because I need to turn to go to the left there. And as you can see, it's impossible. There is no way the bike path wants me to go straight. There is just no way I can cross 2 lanes of traffic to get into a place that I can stand in the right turn, that I can make that turn. So what I do, I decide to go straight, and then, oops, there is no bike path anymore. Right? And the only thing I can do is quickly hop on the sidewalk there, because there's no place for me to stop and wait to cross. So I hopped on the sidewalk. That car there, almost, I freaked him out, and I understand why I freaked him out, because I was biking, and all of a sudden I kind of got in front of him. It's not his fault that he freaked out. I do something really bizarre there. And now you see these cars are turning around. And then, of course, we get the same thing. All right. So then here's the last way. The last way is I can actually go on Warm Springs. And Warm Springs has a fairly nice white sidewalk or bike path next to it. And I'm not going to show you all the stuff. I'm actually going to pick it up when I'm about here, which is when I have to start making that turn onto Broadway. Oh, yep. Go. So of course there is construction with St. Luke, which makes it a little harder even, but that's not really the issue here. So you see, I'm pretty comfortable here. Not perfect, but it's okay. The cars are getting a little close on both sides. But now I'm getting to this intersection where I'm going to have to make a left turn. Somehow I'm going to have to go left, right? So you see all of a sudden this bike path became much narrower there. Right? It went from a relatively big size to a very narrow little typical bike path. And now I have to go to the left. And you can see I actually almost ran into the sidewalk. I have to wait here, wait until that car passes, go over, and now I am stuck here where As I said, I'm a fairly aggressive bike rider, though I just go in between. And I can tell you that the most uncomfortable thing is about to happen now. So this light actually starts with a flashing orange light. Right? And what happens is the traffic starts creeping up to that center. And I can't stay behind because traffic is, so I have to go with it. And it means that in a couple of minutes, I'm going to be standing there in the middle of the intersection on my bike. Now, I'm comfortable in most cases, but that was uncomfortable because I'm standing there. All it takes is one person who comes in, and you see he's creeping up, so now I'm creeping up with him because I really have no choice at that point. And I'm kind of standing in the middle of the intersection. And finally I decide I'm just going to go for it. But now see what happens. Now I'm making this turn. I'm kind of on the outside. I have to make sure that that car doesn't hit me, right? There's no bike path. There's nothing here. There's no place for me to go except I just keep on going. I never go like this. This was just for your entertainment. So now I'm coming here where we now have this free right-hand turn, and I actually decided to go straight to see what that bike path looks like on the other side. So normally I would have stayed on this right-hand side. I'm actually going to decide I'm going to switch to the center so that I can pick up the bike path that is across the street. And you will see that cars are now passing me on the right. I am basically blocking this traffic. There's nobody who can get by me anymore. I'm just sitting there. And now you can see, here is where the bike path is. Oh. Keep your heads quiet. There. Okay, that's where I need to go. I also, by the way, I want to show you, see how narrow that is? For some reason they decided that to go to these really narrow little places in the way. Alright, so it's green, so here we go. I am now slowly separating myself from traffic. The idea is that this car has to go in there. He has to turn around so he can actually see me. I will later show you that that absolutely doesn't work because nobody does it that way. Here I have to cross, but all this is fine. That thing has been there now for almost a month. Today it was still there. And it serves no purpose. I mean, it absolutely serves no purpose. It's just sitting there. Now here's the interesting thing. Remember what the Dutch do? Once there is a conflict, you separate. Here we do the exact opposite. We get ourselves closer, which is exactly the wrong way. You want to separate so you can see better rather than get yourself together. So here you go through.
You know you passed your office, right?
Yeah, no, I just want to see how it felt like because I knew I was never going to do it again. But here you see the same thing again, right? This traffic that all of a sudden is coming from the right, and they're coming fast, and you have to pay attention. So, yes, I passed my office. I turned around, and that's actually when I did that second shot that I showed you first. All right. So I want to show you some other things, right? 10 months from my building. So the Whole Foods is across the street. You've done this before, probably, right? So there's a couple of problems. The first one is the free right turn that I have to deal with. The second thing is there is a car-oriented crossing. So normally you would assume you want to have that pedestrian on the road as shortly as you possibly can, right? So you want to have a straight crossing. We don't do that. That intersection is actually sideways, so I have to stay on the road much longer than is necessary. That is just a dumb design. And then Whole Foods has created 3 additional conflicts for me as a pedestrian. So here we go. Notice, by the way, here's one sign, the other one is turned around for some bizarre reason. See that there is no painting here? I need to push the button now, make sure that everybody actually stops. There is no signal for a car on where they have to stop, right? There is no painting, there is no sign, there's nothing. So they just have to kind of figure it out. Now I have to push the button here, wait for all this stuff, which is fine. And you see here, here's something interesting that's going to happen, I think. Yep, here we go. Here is a major problem. The free right-hand turn is used by people to actually go straight. And it's actually really quite dangerous. See, this car is doing perfectly fine, but how does he know where to stop? There is no signage on the ground or anywhere where he has to stop. When I saw those trucks, I had to think about you guys saying there were not that many trucks, and that made just the 2 trucks that came by. It was just funny that there were 2 at that time. as a walker and as a bicyclist, I actually hear the traffic. So I have a pretty good idea of what's going on. I have the same foot as when I'm in my car, and I have my radio on, and I'm totally isolated from the stuff that's happening around me. It's a totally different experience. So here I'm crossing now. Now, as you see, I'm on there way longer than I need to. You see the bike can barely make it through there. Now go around the stuff. And here is the additional problem that Whole Foods has created here, which is actually traffic that is coming from behind me and is turning in. So I actually have to turn around to make sure there is, see here I go, turn around to make sure there's no traffic, to make sure that that guy is not coming straight in. There's the next one.
Yeah.
And I see the car coming right now. I have to go look. This car is nice, he stops. Now I have to turn left. So this is the way it's designed, right? And guess what? There's another conflict. Right? So they created 3 conflicts that really didn't need to be there. 3 conflicts of me as a pedestrian with them. Now I'm going to continue. I'm going to go to the dog thing because I want you to see that this first conflict. Look how many cars are actually coming in there now. So I was lucky there was nothing there, but you really have to pay attention because they didn't actually heavy use that entrance, especially during lunchtime. All right. So what can you do about it? This is where my cheap solutions come. Right, so the first one is, can we please move that instead of from behind the actual crossing to a little bit in front, so the cars actually stop earlier when that light is going on? The other thing that does is if you move this forward a little bit, you can actually see the light much better, because you can see it from a further distance. So the first thing is to move this light forward. Second thing is put some paint on the road here. Put a clear line as this is where you need to stop. And then let's fix this one. And this one can actually be on the corner here. And then it can be a much better intersection. Now I hated this when they designed it. I have to say that it's actually much safer than it used to be. And when it used to be, it was really scary. Now it actually kind of works. Part of the reason that it works is that it's more than a 90-degree angle. So traffic is coming like this. And then they have to make a really sharp turn, which makes them go much slower than they do on a different intersection. And the other thing is there's a building sitting here, which kind of blocks their view. So they just slow down. It's a natural place to slow down more than other places. So that's why it probably works. All right, so here's this intersection, right? And see how they've made me. This is straight. Going that way, that is not straight. Now, of course, we as pedestrians know that, right? So we do it. But I don't understand why we have made this conflict longer than it needs to be. Let's just cross straight. All right. So then I went back to work. Right. So I picked up my sandwich and I went back to work. The same 3 conflicts. There's a very poorly placed sign, and drivers is looking away from it. So here we go. Oh, that's not end the show. All right. So here's the first one, right? Now look what happens when I turn right, or I need to cross here. Look at that car, that came from nowhere. Because there's a sign that is not only blocking my view, it is blocking their view. There is not the way that they can see me. So all I can do is kind of sneak out until somebody sees me, make eye contact and continue. Here's the next conflict. It's not nearly as bad. And actually, if I would go back in this video, you can see the woman who is coming in just looking this way, so he never even makes eye contact. So he never sees me, absolutely never sees me. So now I get here, and of course it will cross and do all that kind of stuff. All right. So I started looking at it. Slow pedestrian crossing. Pedestrians are always slow. It's not what it means, of course, but there's not even a stop sign there. Why don't we have a simple stop sign there? Other places have. It's probably because it's private property, and I've actually started looking that a lot of these exits do not have stop signs. Right? So there's no stop sign. So the first thing is, let's make a stop sign there instead of saying that there's a slow pedestrian crossing. Let's just make a stop sign. And the reason that sign is there is because somebody got hit. Right? And I know the person who got hit, they got hit, it was snowy and stuff, and then somebody just hit them. And that's why Whole Foods has these slow pedestrian crossings there now. So that's the first thing that they can fix. The second thing they can fix is this sign. Now, the sign is actually, it looks really complicated, right? But all they need to do is move it about 10 feet to here on the other section, because now it is not blocking anybody's side and you can actually see it. So blocking a sign for 10 feet and putting a stop sign there, and then probably not having the line like this, but having the line perpendicular on the road, so that it's clear that people stop there, will probably make it better too. So again, it's fairly easy to solve. All right, so I'm going to do some more picking on Whole Foods. I was really getting on a roll here. And I was planning on going to more and more places, but I just found so much just in that little place that I just decided, why would I go anywhere else? All right, so here is, I don't know if I do have a video. I'm standing there because I want to show you. Now look at this car that is coming there. Cannot see me. They cannot see me until they're passed already, right? Because that sign is completely blocking traffic. Now, the next thing that's going to happen is this car that is turning right, see, they're actually supposed to go around this white thing. Here's the next one. He totally gets confused and just kind of sits there, blocking not only the bike path, but just not understanding. And when you think about it, it's not clear. People don't understand what you're supposed to do that. The design is actually appropriate. I need paint there. Well, actually what I need is a barrier that makes it a little higher so that it becomes clear to people. I've actually been in my car doing the correct thing and almost was sideswiped by somebody who did just the same thing that this person did before. Now, in case you thought that the car was an exception, I was standing here, and look what happens here. That's one.
Can we start earlier?
Oh, sure. Sorry. Oh, I wish you had asked me that earlier. I could have done that right away. Anyway, so you see all these cars are doing the same thing. That clearly means it's not their fault. It's poorly designed. It's not clear to people what they're supposed to be doing there. You can't blame them for making that mistake. So, the solution? So, again, I looked at here. There's no stop sign. Why is there not a stop sign there? So, the first thing is put a stop sign there so people actually know how to stop. Yeah?
Wouldn't putting just like a slightly raised barrier in between the bike lane
Right.
and the cars just be a really simple solution?
But that costs money, right? So, okay, if you're not willing to...
Expensive.
No, I agree with you, all right? And ideally, you would actually raise that a little bit higher, right? And you could even put some planters on it. Let's make it look good, right? But if my thing is, if you just design it better and just make a whole bunch of paint on it, then it already is a lot better, right? So in this case, put a stop sign here. Second thing is, that sign is just wrong. I mean, it should never have been allowed to be put there. It just blocks traffic. It blocks your field of sight completely. And what is worse about it is that everybody there is already looking at this way because it's a one-way street, right? So they're already looking at the left, and then that sign is blocking even more of them. They're never going to see that pedestrian. Many times that I've stood there and just waited until all the cars were gone and finally crossed. Here is the thing. Yes, I agree. You should raise that, but get me some bright yellow paint to make it clear to people that are not supposed to go there. And then, of course, why are we so? It seems like we don't want to use paint, but could we at least make sure that everybody realizes bikes are crossing? The first conflict is the pedestrians here that are really in the worst case, right? And that's where the bikes are. You have two conflicts. Let's make sure that people understand that. All right, and then please somebody get rid of that darn sign that has no function. I mean, it's been there for a long time, and I don't know why it's there. All right, Myrtle and Broadway. And I said thanks for the new paint because they actually painted it a couple of days ago. But do you seriously think this is a good idea? Right, so here is it, right? So this is actually, you come in and then the street goes like this, so it's less than the 90-degree angle. It's almost 120 degrees. You really don't have to slow down there. You can go 40 miles an hour. You can easily make that turn. Right, so there's a free right-hand turn. This car come in there at 40 miles an hour. Look at this poor bike that is coming. And so first of all, you have to cross here with this weird crossing, and then this bike has to cross it there. So look what happens. I've only done it once, and that was for the video. So he's fortunately early enough. I actually was a little scared because sometimes you see cars that are immediately speeding up, and they're so paying attention behind them that they could have hit him from the back. So now if you continue there, this is interesting. I'm walking, right, and I want to cross Broadway. So here I am walking. Come on. Now I want to cross, but I have to turn that light on first. So while I'm going to cross this way, I first have to go this way to turn on the light. And I'm basically telling cars, he's not going to cross. From the other way, it's the same thing. If I go in and I want to cross, I want to cross this way, but I have to first go this way to turn on the light. What I just signaled to the car is, he's not crossing. And there's nothing wrong with that car getting confused about it. It's wrong design. All they need to do, of course, is fix the light. Now, I think they shouldn't. So the only thing that you can do this, I think, is that you just don't allow the free right turn. I think when it's less than a 90-degree turn, there's no buildings to block it. It's just this open space. This is the one place where you just should not allow a free right-hand turn. I'm willing to accept the one on Broadway in front, but this one to me does not make any sense. I thought this was funny. Right, I was just standing behind him like, why did we do that? What were they thinking? Was the grass gone or something? Did they only have a certain amount of concrete? And you know, these two guys are kind of funny staying there, but the reality is that if you are a bike, you can barely make it. If you have one of those things behind you with a kid, you cannot get in there and you will actually have to flip it. All right, finally, there are people that don't want bikes. And I was thinking about it when you guys were talking about, you know, there were clearly people that don't touch Myrtle in front, right? Because they wanted to drive. So this morning I got to work and I realized there were 6 bikes standing there in our thing. It was a nice day, right? 6 bikes. And then I took this picture of 6 cars. And guess what? The biggest problem in our building is that there's no parking. So this guy in my building should be really happy that these people are actually using the bike, because now he can park his car. It's expensive, but if we would actually have our cars, we wouldn't have it either. So there you go. That was it. Thank you.